You have been executing advertising campaigns for large companies. How do you adapt your sales approach to meet the changing needs of your clients? I mean, like it's a very dynamic space you have there, and how are you able to adapt your sales approach to meeting the needs of your clients?
All right, thank you very much. Thank you once again to Alice Consult for having me here. My name is Inka, and I'm also into media buying. So, going directly to the question that you just asked, basically, we have one of the things that we know is that clients' requests or needs are always constant, like it's ever changing, and the desires to meet new demands is always increasing. So, one of the things that we do as a brand is to look at, for example, we do our research. Right? One of the first things we do is to do like an in-depth research, not just for ourselves, but the brands that we're trying to work with, right? Because it is important that when you're trying to reach out to their or speak to their customers, you need to know where the pain points are. So for us, we do the research, and then again we look at the competition that they have, and then we try to use those research to now answer to the pain points that they have. Another thing that we've noticed again is the fact that some of these new businesses, they actually go, what do you call it now? They demand for new ways of doing things. So for example, you have brands that are probably going to the traditional way of doing activations, right? Or normal way of doing advertising. Now they need new advanced ways of doing things. For example, technology is everywhere. Social media is everywhere. And these days, you need these new ideas. So first of all, you need to understand the pain points and answer to those pain points. You just don't assume for them. It's not a case of you just saying, you know what, you need awareness for this. You need conversions for this. You need to, because each business, each brand has specific desires, have specific needs that needs to be met. So these are the key things that we look for before answering to clients.
Thank you so much. I think you heard that. Not all your clients have the same problem. Not all of them have the same point. So as a business owner, you should look at these people with their own case. If this person has headache, look at the person with headache. If this person has malaria, look at this person because you have done your research and this particular brand has this problem. So that's the problem you solve. Thank you so much, Yinka. That was amazing. Oluremi Martins, in your years of experience running your company, Natural Girl Wigs, how do you optimize for sales and profit during a downturn in the economy? I mean, you're Nigerians, but you have plenty experience. It's only you like 80 countries, and then there's Nigeria inside. I mean, like we're Nigerian entrepreneurs. We also have people here that probably have, their businesses in other countries. But then in general, how are you able to optimize for sales and profit during a downtime in the economy?
Okay, thank you. So that was what my question was. Just yesterday, I was preparing for this event. I was reading a research that sort of like explained how some points about how consumers like make buying decisions in recession, right? And that sort of like reflected in the way we do business in 2022 because I mean, for a lot of businesses in Nigeria, 2022 was sort of like a funny year because it seemed like for a lot of online businesses, there was a lot of growth in 2020 and that sort of like lived into 2021. And then 2022, it seems like business was going back to usual. But not just Nigeria, to be honest, like globally with e-commerce, like there was like a downturn. So what we did was, first of all, it was important for us to know the things that our consumers need. And that brought me to the things I saw in my research yesterday, which is that it's not that consumers do not buy things in a recession. It's that it's different things that drive why they buy things in a recession. So one of those things is that people want, little guilty pleasures, right? So if I have to cut my budget, let's say I'm not able to afford as much prawns as I typically eat, I'm not able to buy as much designer bags as I typically buy. Maybe my guilty pleasure would now be, I just want to buy candles, or I just want to be able to buy this one thing that just, sparks joy for me. Like that's one of the things. Another thing could be that, people are now looking to be loyal to one brand. That's one of the things the research says. So which is that if I'm buying groceries, I want just one store. I don't want to be going up and down. And I want to see like the deals that one store can give me to sort of like maximize my budget. So those were the similar things that we did. And one of the most important things we did at my business last year was we started doing more customer calls. So I literally spoke to over 200 of our customers on the phone. Like almost every day I would speak to someone. I just wanted to know, oh, the people that were buying from us, why are you buying from us? What about our customer experience did you really like? Oh, if you bought from us once and you didn't buy again, why didn't you buy again? And I was hearing very odd things. Like people were just telling me, you guys are bullshit, get out. And some people were like, you guys are amazing. But that gave me a lot of like data to then make business decisions. And for us, we saw that customers were buying things that could give them multiple value. And that influenced a lot of like the decisions we made in terms of like the product we launched. We're launching products that people could get like 20 wears from instead of like the wigs that people would just wear once. And it's like, I don't want to leave frontal and things like that. So just using data, like doing ad things like speaking to your customers, doing ad things like creating products that actually bring, give people a lot of value, right? So if people were spending $50 before and they didn't mind just, using that $50 product once or twice, now they want to use it 20 or 30 times. And it's then left to you to think of, how can I then reach about 1,000 people who want to buy that product? So for me, that's how we thought about maximizing sales in a tough economy.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. Please put your hands together. I mean, like we learned a lot from that. Is it checking your data? Is it the follow-ups? I mean, you hear what she said about a lot of us are trying to even like me. I don't like you just said that. I don't like people. We call it, just please get out of that place. But then, like, these are things that you need to do, so you know what to do for your business. You know the next step to take, and you don't just make decisions based on what you think in your head. You literally need to hear from the people that you serve. How do you perceive the brand? Why are you still buying? Why are you not buying? Thank you very much. Please put your hands together for her once again. That was amazing. All right, so to Fermi Ajetumobi. In your experience working with unicorns, fintech companies, and even your own food company, what strategies have you found most effective in maximizing sales?
It works everywhere, unicorn or not unicorns and everything. I mean, I just believe those unicorn things are, there's camera here, man. So you can quote me somewhere. So what maximizes sales is more about value. How will you communicate your value to people? Like she said very clearly, if you're just telling, like you have to speak to a particular value of what the person expects. Like for example, using the guilty pleasures thing that you just said now, I want to indulge in this particular thing. I'm communicating around that value. And it also starts from like when you're building up your marketing message. I've learned that a number of times because you want to just quickly sell, you're just saying, this is what we do, come and buy this. But there's no emotional touch to that entire flow of whatever you're communicating to the people. And it has to be persistency in the sense that because your marketing message probably failed once, does not mean that you would now not try again. That's number two. And in pushing out your marketing messages to drive conversions for sales, don't push out one message. Try out a number of things. You try out A, you try out B, you try out C, and measure and see what works before you now say, okay, we're going to double down on this particular thing. And once you find out what works, juice it out to the end. If it worked in 2021 and it worked in 2022 again, don't say there are no strategy as an old sales pitch. Use it in 2023. Keep using it till it dies. That's how I believe about that.
Thank you so much. I mean, we've heard it, like, diversify your methods, and as much as you can, try to hack your code, like find what works for you, and don't feel like, oh, nobody's doing this again. If it's working for you, stick to it, and then you see the amazing things that will come out of that. Thank you so much, Fermi. Okay, so Tibulu Etienne, working in a leadership role at a large company like Cadbury is definitely not an easy task. And so my question is, how do you build and maintain customer loyalty that lasts, even in a tough economy?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So I would answer that question as someone who also has a business and, in the current role I have. And considering that, I mean, this is also a meeting for small businesses, so it's important to contextualize it. So I think there are three things I would mention. First would be to drive loyalty, you have to prioritize the experience over just the product. So I'll give you an example. You're not the only one selling food. So why should I buy food from you? The truth is, I can only see the picture of your food and I see the picture of the next one. Some people will even use reels, music, billionaire. We know how the songs, and so the people know how to use those trends. But it's about what experience are you giving me when I buy from you? When you send that plate of soup to me, is it filled with oil? I will never buy from you again. So I'll give you an example again that happened recently at the office. There's a particular restaurant I always order from, always. But then I just told, one of the assistants in our office that, please, could you just help me step over and cross and buy a meal for me at a restaurant that's just opposite my office. There's no delivery fee. There's nothing extra. It is by far cheaper. But by the time they brought the food, the way the rice was sitting in the plate, I was like, I can't eat this. So it's not because it's cheaper. I can't, because she's serving they serve the food like they're serving a dog. The chicken was a thigh, but there's a part of it that it looked as if someone had eaten from. I'm like, yo. So I would rather spend more and pay for delivery, knowing fully well that when my meal comes from that other restaurant, I won't lose my appetite. So the experience is always key. Do not forget, you will never be there's no monopoly. You will never be. Flutter with pasta, everybody. So you will never be the only one selling candy. You will never be the only one selling Zobo. So it's important that you prioritize the experience you give your consumers. One. So how do you package? There's a lady I even bought the slippers from, and she had put in the wrap was labeled, she even put a sash. I was like, okay, I like, she made me feel good. So even if I didn't buy from her the second time, if someone is saying, oh, I want to buy something for my husband during Valentine, I'm like, I bought something for my husband from here. I think you should buy. So I things are nice. What have I bought? Just one thing. Right? But the experience. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you need to find your differentiator. Everyone has talked about it. I've patronized your business before because I have a natural hair as well. So it's very important that you have your differentiator. There is attachment, there is expression, there is darling, but a business can decide that I want to serve, this type of business. And if you're serving a business, when I see the yellow logo, yours is the yellow pack. You send your goods in white and okay. Yeah, but I presume before. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is let there be like a differentiator. I'll give you an example. When you go into the pharmacy, what is the most color, like the popular color for drugs? White and blue. Even if you go into the hospital, it's white, it's blue, it's mint green. When you start to see a nurse wearing pink top and purple, where am I? Do you get what I'm saying? So it's very important. Even in a restaurant, you see white shirts, black trousers. You have to wear maybe sequence jacket. Is this disco? So you need to find what differentiates your business. And I think the third thing I wanted to say is as a small business, you need to create your care packages. So your care packages can be as simple as, how do I help my customers to know how to use, my product? You are selling food. I'm just trying to use examples that are relatable to us. You are selling food. Do you want to tell your customers how to freeze it? It may look simple to you, but all of those details. I buy a particular fabric from you, and after the next day is removing it. Maybe you are telling me don't use washing machine. It should be washed with your hands. So create those care packages. Even big companies these days create, like, I'm telling you 5 ways to use hot chocolate. Right? I'm telling you, Spotify is telling you how to create a good podcast. Right? So businesses, YouTube is telling you how to use YouTube, how to create shows. They are doing YouTube funds. So businesses need to create care packages. It doesn't have to be something simple as how-tos or information hacks and stuff on how to use the product. Then I think you drive loyalty, because you are helping me, then I might as well patronize you over and over again.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. Just put your hands together. You heard it about customer experience and how it is very important that you prioritize these things. That's what makes people stick with you. That's what will make them say, okay, fine. Like, if this is where I want to go for my hair, I'll always go to natural natural girl wigs, I'll always go to this person because I enjoy it. She gave an example, a practical example of her experience with, just trying to cut, maybe just, let me just try this one, it's shorter, there's no delivery fee. You heard all these things, but then she want to spend more. So even if your product is 200,000 naira more, she rather go for yours than go for the other person's one that's way cheaper. Why? Because of the experience. Very important. And also educational content and educational things that you can put for your customers to learn more about. Don't think everybody knows how to do things. Some people don't know. They don't know anything. See, when you get your wig, how to cut it, when you do this, how to do that, maybe they buy a course from you. They don't know how to maybe open the slide, or I've seen different things like that, and they just assume everybody is educated like that. Not everybody is as educated as you are. So it's very important that you do these things for people. Please put your hands together for her once again. Okay, so to Yinka, how do you balance cutting cost measures with maintaining a strong sales team during a challenging economic period?
Thank you very much again. So I think the question is actually two-edged, like two in one. So the first one is the fact that you're trying to cut costs, and secondly is the fact that you're trying to maintain, what's the word now? A standard in terms of your sales team. You want to maintain the same level if they have a high standard of delivery from your sales team. So for me, naturally, we should know some ways of cutting costs. And for example, that would include what's the word now? Making use of technological ways, running your day-to-day activities. So for example, what you would do instead of physical meetings, for example, you're now adopting virtual meetings, right? For example, instead of you using paper, you are sending emails. All these things are natural ways that you can use to reduce costs. Another one is now, for example, what do you call it? Remote work. So, for example, a lot of us are startups. I'll give you an example. There's a company called Gamer. Just to set an example, they are into gaming, and gaming is becoming a huge community currently. And then you have these people, you'll be surprised that a lot of them are not even in the country, like from the CEO to the COO to the CFO. They are not in the country, and they are doing excellent work. Literally, of recent, they had a partnership with the federal government when it comes to esports, right? And you'll be surprised that maybe just one person was available for the signing of that contract that was in billions, for example. Every other person did virtual meetings. And this is the way it has been for them. And for a lot of startups, we believe that when I have a company, I need to have a building where people can physically come in, and then you end up hiring people that you might not even need, just to throw this perception that, I am a company and I have arrived. So to a large extent, I feel like these are ways that you can cut your cost. And then ultimately, there's this trend, now answering to your maintaining that sales team. There's this trend that's currently going on where even the huge companies like Meta, Amazon and the rest are now actually laying staffs off, right? And then you wonder, I think the last one I had was about 10,000 employees that were laid off in companies. And then you wonder what could really be the problem. It is obviously the economic challenges that people are facing. I think in Nigeria, the current stat I had was about 21.7 thereabouts inflation rate. It's a consistent move, and it's not just in Nigeria, which is one of the conversations I have with my friends. It's not just in Nigeria. Inflation is literally everywhere, So how do you get the best out of your team when you even have, for example, have to lay off some of your staffs, some of your best performing staffs? And don't forget that even some of these staffs have close relationships with the ones that you are still maintaining in your business. So if you lay some of them off, there is a tendency for bad blood, or for example, this feeling behind their mind that would I be the next person, and then for that reason, they might start looking for ways to escape and the rest like that. And it is crucial that you have a team, and you know that the people that are, you're holding back are people that can actually deliver. It is crucial that you find ways to maintain that marketing team. So what are the things that you do? The first thing that I usually do is that you need to be transparent. You need to understand, you need to be able to communicate with that team, for example, that this is the way it is, right? It is because I feel like the CEO, or maybe let me say the ancient system of things is that I am the CEO, nobody can come to my office, to help with everybody and stuff like that. But ultimately, these days, you have the Gen Zs in your office. And interestingly, these people can deliver. Now, they might not be accustomed to coming to the office for 9 to 5. But when it comes to on the field and probably delivering on their KPIs, they are absolutely good at it. So how do you maintain these people to give you the best of work? You have to be transparent. You have to communicate. This is the situation of things on the ground, right? And then by that, also feedback and appraisals, right? You have to let them talk as well. It's not just a case of you guys are not delivering, you're coming to the office late, you're not sending the email, you don't even know how to put your sentences together in your email to send to the CEO of a partner or a sponsor or anything like that. You need to be able to allow them to give feedback, right? And then appraisals. And appraisals should come from the right people. You cannot be getting appraisals from someone that is, if, for example, there's a bad blood between them and then you ask that person to give appraisals for XYZ, of course, you're not going to get the right, how do I call it, experience or the best of the, what's the word now, ability of that particular person. So that said, appraisals and then rewards. You would be surprised that the littlest, what's the word I would use now? Great job, you've done well. I noticed that you've been coming early. How are you managing to escape or manage this traffic, this Lagos traffic, for example? Or I see that you're spending so much on data. Okay, take XYZ to buy airtime. These things go really far. And when you see a team or part of your team members that are actually delivering, it is very important that you reward the effort. You reward that effort. And then I think another thing I would also mention is the fact that as part of your cutting cost mechanics, while you're trying to hire, I think one of the first things I mentioned is the fact that you should not look at hiring a lot of people. So you have to have in mind that to reduce cost and at the end of the day, be able to maintain the top talents that you have in your team, it is important that you hire the right people from the get-go. And not the case that you've just hired a bunch of people into your system and then it's now becoming difficult for you to let them out of that system. And that's the case with some of these established brands, for example, where you are having either personal clashes and then people going on WhatsApp to release certain information that some of these big industries in the country and even outside the country have, So the hire the best talents. They can be just a couple, one or two. And then importantly as well, I feel like some of the things that people are not looking at is hiring interns. As a small business, I feel like interns are very key when you're trying to build a system or a business culture. Because it is easy for them, for example, to come into the system. You put them in the process of learning how the business culture should be. And you'll be surprised that they can literally cut a limb and a leg and an arm just to make sure that whatever you want to achieve actually was. And there are huge examples of that. I think for me, the number one that I would take as an example is Cowrywise. They have these young talents in there that are doing amazing work, and these people have left that company to do even more better works. And these people started from an internship role, and the company allows them to grow to the level that they can now confidently even do businesses with international bodies. So basically, these are the ways that you can cut costs and at the same time maintain that marketing team that just still delivers for you.
Thank you so much, Yinka. That was amazing. I think from the things he said, what struck with me most was when he spoke about hiring the best talent. And most of the time, it's very good that you also hire your weaknesses. There's some things that you're not good at. It's not the things that you can do. You don't know how to do. There's some things that you're not good at. Sometimes it's very good that you hire people that complete you. So it just makes the work easier and everybody's doing something for you. It's not like everybody's doing the same thing. You have people that are on the team that can do things that you can't do. Another thing I'm going to say that, that really struck with me, what the things you shared was about, feedback, letting them know how they're doing. In sociology, they tell us this thing about positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. You're dealing with human beings and definitely they work for you. So that means their attitude and the things that they do will reflect on the performance of the industry or the brand or the organization. However, there are certain techniques that you use. There are positive reinforcement or negative reinforcement. Either one of these two, you definitely get some sort of result. Positive, the name is there. Negative, something you do. So, yeah, basically, I think you guys got something from that. That was amazing. Thank you so much, Yinka. Okay, so to Oluremi Martin, how do you differentiate your product in a crowded market? I mean, Instagram, everybody's picking up every day, posting pictures, doing this one. It's a saturated market. How is natural hair girl? How is natural girl wigs? Pardon me. How is natural girl wigs able to stand out in the midst of all of this, saturation, the market, everybody's doing this, but then how are you able to, differentiate your product and stand out in a market like that?
So differentiating your products can be in different ways. So I think when people talk about differentiating your product, you think about the product alone, but you can differentiate your products from your market, from your customers, from your promotions, from the kind of content that you do. Like there are various ways you can differentiate your product. But let me start from products because that's what you're selling. So for me, one of the things that is super important to me, and it's something that I also reinforce with like my entire team, is that at the end of the day, I always look at everything from like the customer journey, the customer point of view. And for me, it's like if I see something on a website and I buy it and it doesn't meet my expectation, I'm going to be very sad. And I'm not going to talk about the product again, like what she said about, seeing the shifted rice. So, so for me, like it starts with the product where you have to ensure that you're trying as much as possible to like really deliver to people what they want. Sometimes differentiation doesn't have to be so dramatic. It's not about going all the way to do something so different because at the end of the day, like she said again, there's no monopoly. Like people are going to people are going to create the kind of things that you create. And like, that's what distribution is about. You don't really have the old to not like for other people not to create what you create. So for me, differentiation is holding on to our words, me investing heavily in things like operation, quality control, and ensuring that customers actually get what they want. And if that for any reason they do not get what they want, first of all, we're taking responsibility as a business. And then we're doing everything that we can to ensure that that doesn't happen again and that our customer is satisfied enough to even come back to buy from us or refer us. That's one thing. The number two thing is also like market. So when I started Natural Girl Weeks, for me, I wanted black women to wear my products. Like it didn't matter where they were, like anywhere in the world, I wanted black women to, purchase my product. So when we launched into the US market, and by the way, we're not launched in 80 markets. It just means that people from 80 markets are able to like buy from us. But when we launched in the US, it's like there's so many people doing the things that we do and we're not different. Like in Nigeria, it seemed like people were like, oh my God, I didn't know that this existed, blah, blah, blah. But like in the US, like the Chinese Asians were already selling to them. So it's like a very, popular product. And for us, one of the things we did to differentiate was that, you know what, you're buying human hair, natural human hair for $400-500. We have created products for about $50, right? And guess what? We are making it by ourselves in Lagos, Nigeria. That was a differentiation, and it wasn't even a product differentiation per se. It was that we were black owned and black production team, and then we're making a sort of like full product, right? That were not really human hair, but you could still get that value. So even though we differentiated ourselves with products, there were other marketing angles that we leveraged to, differentiate ourselves, right? And then when you're talking about then marketing, like for example, if you go on Natural Goods right now, we invest so much in the kind of content that we produce and content that would otherwise be expensive for a lot of people. But for us, it's like, what's the opportunity cost? If I spend this amount of money to like create this sort of content, I know the exact kind of people I'm reaching. I know the other things I can do to sort of like retain them and get them to bring their friends and their family. So differentiating your product, you have to think about it in like the different forms of how you communicate to your customers, from your product, from the market, from your marketing, from your customer service, from even you prioritizing things. Like I don't literally lose a sleep if I have to refund someone $500. It's not the kind of business I'm building, right? At the end of the day, it's not, if someone is not satisfied, they are not crazy. People are not just coming to you and saying blah, blah, blah. There's a reason. So just optimizing for these things and looking at it as a way to not just differentiate the product, but the brand. And if you're selling anything in today's world, it's not just about the product, it's the brand and it's the things that people say about the business that you're building. So that's the way I think about differentiation.
Thank you very much. In summary, she's basically In summary, she's basically talking about perceived value and actual value. There's a way she's trying to reach out to some certain group of people. There's a way she presents her brand, the type of content she puts out, the type of things that she does on her page, and giving us the information about what her brand is all about. It's all about perceived value. So I think what you should pick from that is, how are you perceived? Before I even buy from you, before I even know how natural girl wigs before I even know how the texture is, there's a particular way I perceive the brand, there's a particular way I see her, and that's true like strategic positioning of all the things you mentioned. Is it the product? Is it the experience? Is it the feedback? All those things put together. It's amazing. Please put your hands together for her. That was amazing. Thank you. Okay, so to me, how do you use data and analytics to identify new sales and opportunities in your markets?
I like that you assume that I'm smart. Because sometimes, to be honest, a number of people just go blindly into the market and say, okay, there's money in Abuja. Let's open there. There's this one there. Let's open there. There's this one there. So, why I started out with that, you don't necessarily need to be a geek to use data to analyze anything. It can be as simple as when people try out your products, which I'm also a very big fan of. Like when I was at Cowrywise, there was a time we caught about 5,000 customers. Every day, just wake up. Where did you sign up from? What made you sign up? Why are you interested in signing up? Little customer calls of people that make purchases to find out exactly where they are making that purchase from. If you don't have any analytics tool set up, for example, and you keep on compiling that data to find out, okay, we're experiencing a surge from here, or 2 people ordered from Agege. And let me use my business as an example. At some point, we found out that Agege boys were ordering more than people in Lekki. And it was interesting for us. Because in the sense of Lagos, you look at Agege as a place where there's no money. But apparently, a particular product that we make, which is 9 fries, small platter, 3 burgers, they used to buy it on the weekends, and a lot of that used to go to Agege. But the only we found out was, at the end of every week, we will pull out the data to look at where did we get most of our orders from, or where did we get new orders from for the week, and we'll find out that there was this rising surge in Agege. So just pay attention to how you're getting your customers, pay attention to that, categorize them, find out by looking at where your orders coming from. In fact, people call them. Sometimes even use your Instagram. You have Instagram pages, there's traffic data. They just use those little things. Like I said, you don't need to be a geek, but pay attention to how you are driving, how your demand is coming, and then build on that.
Thank you so much, Mary. I mean, in summary, he's just basically saying that your business is speaking to you, and the way you can listen to your business is through your data. Before you put out a promotion, before you spend money on that particular product, you have your data there to tell you, okay, I think this is a very good decision, because you have about 3,000 saves, and then you have about 17,000 shares. You have some people with that type of data on Instagram, and then you don't have to look too far. You don't need anybody to tell you this is what people are looking for. This is what attracts people down your funnel. So it's very important. Thank you so much, Karami. That was amazing. So to Bolu Estienne, and this is the last question I have for the panelists. Please, if you have any questions, I don't know, would you help me? Okay. So if you have any questions, please put them together and we'll take that shortly. Okay, so Tibolu Estienne, how do you stay abreast of industry trends and changes in consumer behavior during a tough economy?
So I think there are a couple of things you do. The first would be research. And I know it's been mentioned. I mean, we're talking about marketing, and these are principles, so we'll mention the same things. But research is very important. Check what people are saying. So there are reports like We Are Social. You don't need to pay for it. Just type We Are Social PDF. You would see it. It will tell you, again, I'm going to bring it back home because we're talking about SMEs. It's going to tell you what people are looking for. It's going to tell you have 200 million Nigerians. It's going to tell you the XYZ amount of people on social media, 24 million people. And you can even calculate. It's even going to tell you what people are buying. I'll give you an example. It's going to tell you people are buying, let's say, 40% of purchase on e-commerce is mobile phones. 15% is fashion items. And if it shows, you could just decide, it's okay, if 50 million people are, 24 million people are online, or let's even use 20, right? 20 million people are on social media, and 15% of that buy fashion item, which is clothes, shoes, bags, hair item. That's about 2 million, right? 2.5 thereabout. I want just 100,000 of these people, right? So data gives you a sense of what is available. Right? Yeah, it gives you a sense of clarity of what is available. So when you have that, you do that research, it begins to give you a strike of, okay, what should I be doing, right? That's one. Another thing about research would be social listening. I know a lot of times people tell you, social listening, I want to believe this is not the first time we're hearing of it, but that's social listening in two different ways. What are people saying about your brand, and what are they saying about your competitors? You see, what they're saying about your competitors is as important about what they're saying about your brand, because you're either learning what is making them excited about your competition or what is making them dislike your competition. So if they're telling you that the reason why they don't like your competition's clothes is that it gets slack easily, then you make sure that when you're looking for your own manufacturer, you're not getting fabrics that slack easily, right? If people complain about the fact that the delivery company that they are using, they don't deliver early enough, go and look for the companies that they are using for their delivery and ensure you don't use those companies. So it's very, very important that you do social listening. Even for, in the role I occupy currently, I'm always listening, It's as simple as putting the hashtag. Yes, there are social media listening tools you can pay $100, but as a small business, you don't even need to spend that money. You know why? Because that same company that is doing the analysis, they're going to put that same hashtag, but they have a set of codes that have been infected that runs that data and analyzes it. If you put hashtag, and just even going to Twitter alone, let's say what you sell is prawns or snail, put in the hashtag snail. You see what people are saying. You see people say, oh, snail is too expensive in this restaurant. Or go under that comment and say, I can deliver snail to you at a lesser price. We wash it. From listening, you are seeing what people are, okay, what do? You're offering accounting services, right? You see people just search new businesses. You're going to see what people are saying. I'm certain, but I don't know how to handle my finance. Go under that page, right? And talk about it. And there are people that do that even currently. You see someone say, jackpot. You see some people say, we can help you process funds, right? So listening is a very big part of your business and how to find a way to sort of drive loyalty. But it's also important for you to know that apart from listening, apart from research, also try to do interviews, either with your existing customers or people around. Not everybody is going to answer you, but shoot your shot, right? Not everyone is going to answer you, but ask questions. Ask questions, what, like she said as well, what do you like our product? What do you not like about our product? But if you see people, for example, in the likes of like Bella Naija or Instablog, Paul's, when people complain about businesses on those pages, you can have like a pseudo page whose job is to just ask questions. Really? So sorry, what happened? The aggrieved person is going to talk. Don't mind them. I paid them for 3 weeks ago and over 3 weeks ago and they're not responding. You get it to say, okay, this kind of person needs a product like that. If the person is complaining about someone that sold them fish and you're selling clothes, it's none of your business. It's not the same. But that's why listening, look for things that are relating to your business. Do your research, do your social listening, and however you can do the interviews, I believe you'll be able to gather data to make informed decisions.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, another option for that, particularly on Twitter, is you can find out what people are saying about a theme. For example, one thing I do consistently with the Knife Rise account is I put burger and I put it in between like double columns. Like you can use this for your business right now. Let me like shoes, double column, and I put near, I just spell near, N-E-A-R, double column, Lagos. So every conversation on Twitter, once I search that on Twitter, every conversation around shoes or burgers will come up and I can easily respond. You can do it for any keyword that you use for your business, either shirts or not like that. And it's a very good way that I find out about, sometimes they might not necessarily buy, but they follow us, have a conversation with us, and maybe in the future, they go and start talking to us. So that's another way you can use that to find about your business.
Please put your hands together once again. It has been an amazing session so far.
Yeah, it's a wonderful team. I think you can do better by clapping more for them, please. It's just unfortunate we cannot allow you go now because a lot of people will have questions to ask you.
Thank you. I want to really comment on everything that's been said. It's fantastic. Now, for young CEOs who have to do all the work by themselves, you have to be the product manager, you have to be the logistic manager, you have to be. How do you help yourself in a situation like this? Why, the economy is not very well. You can't even, get more people or more earns since you are still in your early stage of the business. How do we cope with this situation? With the economy and, everything. Thank you.
I think to that, I would say capacity building and maximizing technology. Because everybody that is here today that probably has like 2 staff, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at some point, they were the product manager, they were the one handing over to the dispatch rider, they were the product formulator. I would say that you just have to develop capacity to do all those things, yeah? Because at some point, by the time you grow, you will have people come on board your business. And when they come on board your business, you have done those things before. You know how it works. So you can give your 2 cents, okay, say, this is how I want to do it here, or this is my custom, this is my tradition. You have an experience doing that particular thing in your business. So I'll say capacity building. It is only just for a period of time. You have to do those things. If you don't have the funds, if you can't do those things, you can't say because of that, you will stop doing the business. So you have to develop capacity. If you are 2 gig, you have to make yourself 1 terabyte, conscious effort. You go for courses, take courses, and maximize technology. There are tools that you can use today. Google has done different things that you can use to do this one. You automate your processes, you automate your posts. As I'm seated here, I have my post automated till the end of February. I don't wake up anytime to post anything because technology is there. I now use that time because time is very important. Okay, so by the time you're maximizing technology, you are doing all these things simultaneously, and you never know. Before you know, you are comfortable. Before you couldn't do it. Why? Because you're like, I can't do it. It's too much. But then you develop capacity and you maximize technology. Very important. That'll be my advice for you.
Thank you. If you don't mind, I'd like to add as well. I think for me, I think she's absolutely right with the assertions that she made. I think also is the fact that as a young, please let me see the face of the person as well. As a young CEO, I think it's an everyday thing because when you started the business, you were the face of the business, right? You were the one talking to people. People were more like, it's your journey that they were following. So even when you are established as a business, trust me, it doesn't end, right? You are still the gate man of your business. You are still the delivery person. Because on the day that business would face a negative PR, your name will be the first thing out. Do you understand what I'm trying to explain? So yes, you just have to be there 24/7. And I think another thing that also helps is the experts that you have in the industry that serve, maybe let me not use mentor, but that serve as your guide. Do you understand? People that you look up to. They could be your friends, they could be your senior colleagues, right? These people are very crucial and they are people that can actually help you out when you are facing some serious challenge. The people that you build in your network while you grow are very, very instrumental to how well your business will do and how you can even survive the biggest of crises when it comes up. So basically, that's just my addition to what she has to say.
Don't do business. That's the first advice I'll give you. Because I think all of us that do businesses, something wrong with us, but I mean, someone has to do it, right? To be honest, if the first thing anybody asks me about entrepreneurship, I don't do business, so it's not for normal people. You suffer, and that's the truth. But one thing I've learned so far is that, particularly at the early stage, there's this obsession with being perfect. You want to fix this, you want to fix that. You need to just segment your worries. And what works, is it bringing you the money at that point in time? Get the money first. That's the first thing. You have to survive. Survive first. As long as it's getting the money and it's not affecting your customer experience in a significant way, because no matter what, at the early stage, you have some customer experience glitches and they'll be there. If you keep worrying about them, nothing will get done. So segment your worries, work on that one, get the maximum value you can get from that. Then you look at prioritize all the customer experience issues you have. If you're going to hire after you've gotten that your value, which of the issues with that fix? Fix it one at a time. And I'm saying again, people use products that are available, not the most perfect products. If you keep focusing on, I want to perfect this, I want to perfect, you will not launch anything, you will not do anything. So that's it. Once again, don't do business.
Thank you. Adedamola Oladipo is my name. I just want to ask the panelists, to what extent do you make a change in your product or services to suit your target audience in the market without necessarily deviating from your brand? Thank you.
My name is Beverly. So I run a design company. We specialize in brand identity design and brand strategy. So basically, we help build that perceived value that you mentioned, right, through design, storytelling, and research. So in my business, I don't compete with price. I compete with value. So I'm not someone that would describe my prices as affordable, right? So when I do get foreign clients, there's little to no struggle and negotiations. We jump right into the business and the project, and at the end of the day, they're satisfied. And because of that value, they keep coming back. But my experience in Nigeria has been a bit different. And my question, I just want to kind of know if you guys have the same experience. It's that before I even have that opportunity to give that value, we're negotiating and back and forth. It's like it's in our blood to bring the price all the way down. And yes, maybe there's a point where they see the value that they will get. But, the struggle is just so much. And I'm just speaking to, the title of this panel, which is, maximizing sales in the economy. You mentioned that there's inflation everywhere. Why is our own different?
Thank you very much. Okay.
So I actually think that if you keep getting the people, I'm answering your question first. I think that if you keep getting people who consistently are over, are over pricing and negotiating and all of that in Nigeria, I think you might not be reaching the right people for your product, right? And that happens everywhere. So don't beat yourself around it. I think that for Nigerians, because when we launched my business abroad, for some reason, I started being proud to Nigerians because I'm like, please don't stress me, right? But that changed in 2021. 2021 was our best year in Nigeria. We grew by over 400%. And that was 2022 when many people were complaining. And one thing I realized is that there are so many Nigerians, they are not much, because the problem is that everybody says, Nigeria is a 200 million market and all of that. But I always tell my friends, I'm sure I always tell people that the size of people in Nigeria who can actually afford to consistently buy products over 50,000 naira is not more than 100,000 people. You can quote me. We are all sharing the same customers. It's 100,000 people. So you need to know how to communicate to those customers. And one thing about Nigerians is that Nigerians want you to sell them, sell to them. Once you sell to Nigerians and they know that this is the person that can give me what I want, they won't argue with you. They'll just go on your website. Nigerians are buying designer items worth 700,000-800,000 on a website. They don't call you. But are you communicating that value to them? Are you showing them that this is the experience I can give your brand? This is the level. Are you showing them the other people who are Nigerians, who are benefiting, what they have to say? So I think that is what you should first look at. Who are the people you are reaching with your message? And how can you convert those customers that can actually afford your services? So that's that. And then for Mr. Adedamola. So what I think is that, first of all, your business, if your target audience, if you want to sell to, if they say this is how they like their tomato, that's how they like it. Do you understand what I'm saying? At the end of the day, as a brand, especially when you're starting out, I always say don't be so crazy about brand. I don't believe in investing in branding or, being so strict about what your brand is when you're just starting out. Because at the end of the day, what you have is an MVP. You're testing the market. You're seeing how the market will respond. A very good example is when I started my business, what I really wanted to do was braiding hair. And it's also funny because I literally started with zero money. I had some money saved and I had some money that I was like, okay, I will start the business with about $1,000. But I started with no money because I told my stylist, let's do Afro hair, let's take pictures, let's do that. And that was moving, But because I was so obsessed with brand, I still took that $1,000. I went to go and buy braiding hair that had colors, that had ombre, that had all these things, instead of me to face what people were already buying. Until today, some of those braiding hair, they're still in my mom's storage. Because people were just like, I'm not wearing that to the office. It looks good like a costume thing, but it's not something people really want to wear. So at the end of the day, when you're starting a business, the most important thing is the people you are selling to. You should be open to modifying what your brand is to them, right? At the end of the day, sometimes the market is not ready for what you want your brand to be, and that's fine. As Feromi said, at the end of the day, try to make money. If you make money and you're still obsessed with that brand, maybe go and launch that brand to another market. But right now in this market, if the customers are saying this is what they want and how they want it, sell to them and make your money.
To the lady. So, your target audience will always be the most important. I want to even say the target audience is more important than the product. Because at the end of the day, no buyer, no product to sell. So I think it's important to know what is important in each market. So I'll give an example. A Nigerian is going to watch a film that maybe 500 million was spent on, and they watch one that 20 million naira was spent on, and that's the one they will enjoy, the 20 million naira. Why? Because what's important to Nigerians is story, aesthetics. Like in film, this is an example. Aesthetics comes after, but in the US, in other markets, it's the whole package. I don't want to watch. Spider-Man can never be cheap. It should be expensive. That's what I want. I want top Maverick. It should be. Do you get what I mean? So your product is as such, because I'm also in that space. I'm in that space from a marketing point of view in terms of the premium product we sell, right? So knowing your audience, it's okay to know that 70% of your audience is foreign. It's okay to know that and accept that and provide. At the end of the day, you're here to make money, right? Does it really matter if it's Nigerians that, And you can also start to realize that there are a lot of Nigerians in diaspora that want to launch their businesses who understand the value of the product you offer. Then those are the people you should look for. 2, 3, you need to know where to find your audience. Your audience might be on LinkedIn. Because what you have is that people who appreciate brand design and brand strategy are people who most likely have worked in the corporate world. So if you can decide to approach your advertising from that angle, referrals is also another very important part. Who are people who have used your businesses? And finally, she mentioned something, but I wanted to stretch on it, which is, are you telling your story? Telling your story is not about what you offer, but it's about the experiences that the people who have offered the services have had. What are their testimonials? Get them, go to their offices. You have those videos, exactly. Those are the videos then you should promote. And if 90% of your audience is not here, then they're not here, and that's fine.
Okay, so there's something, particularly when you're building a product, they say personas. This is my target persona. Right now, I lead products as a company, not just. If you come to me and tell me this is my target persona, I'll most likely throw your presentation out. And that's because I've started to understand that personas can become dynamic in the sense that you start out with this particular audience. Viagra, for example. What is we used for today is not what it was made for. You learn and you constantly adapt. As long as you are not killing the core of your business, you can adapt with your processes. Give, for example, churches. Churches started out with going out and standing on the roads, running concerts. Today they're organizing. There's wine press now. Everybody's talking about wine press, and some people are complaining on Twitter that wine press is taking away all the girls from clubs and everything like that. That was not how churches started, but they're not killing the core value of what a church is. It is still there, but the approach is just different. You can consistently look at your audience, and what I'm trying to be very careful here is that a number of times we fall into the idea of trends. For example, 2020, 2021, companies were hiring like crazy. It was a trend, but there was a core that most of them just abandoned, just go on with the trend. So you can adapt your processes, but still, you keep your core around that. That's what I would say. Then, for your branding part, there's no money in Nigeria. That's the first thing what I said. Nobody that is looking for a business. If you even heard that early stage business, I don't want to have a brand. How am I going to make money? I'm paying people's salary with my own salary. I'm working a 9 to 5. I've not yet paid this month's salary. And you're not telling me if I change my color to this will happen. That most people are not going to listen to that, to be honest. So I would usually advise that for branding, you don't necessarily chase after early stage guys at the beginning. I've seen other people say branding for SMEs, branding for early stage. It's so nice to write on paper, but the truth is that in reality, they're not necessarily going to pay. If you can offer, because I know in building out your branding services, you also carry out market research and audience research, right? If you can offer that as a separate package to say that we can help you find the right people to target for your sales and that kind of thing at the beginning, yes, that can work. Then as they grow, you can then begin to offer that branding effort to them. And thirdly, the testimonial part is really important. When I was at Cowrywise, we used an agency called That Design. The reason why we used That Design was because they work for Paystack. They were very good, but nobody would have known if they didn't talk about the Paystack story. Today, people talk about Cowrywise branding, and they refer to That Design. Do you understand? Because if That Design works on your brand today, the way they will tell you, they can tell your story for 5 months. They don't care. They will stretch that story till everybody knows that they're the ones that work on that brand. So how you go about that storytelling to ensure that even if you change one color from blue to white, do it like as if you build the entire world again. Let people just hear about that. You understand? So don't target early stage guys. When I offer early stage guys market insights on how to improve their sales, it's just like it's more a free kit, and charge them a small money for we'll help you increase your. Don't take business from Halisi. Just you understand? Because that's Halisi. You can partner with people like Halisi, like now to run that kind of thing. You can even partner with people like Halisi after they have taken an early stage business to a mid stage level. Halisi can then refer them to you, and you pay them that finder's fee. It's not for free. You pay them that finder's fee. But that's another way also. Partner with funds. There are a lot of startup funds that exist today, a number of them. Partner with them, offer an entry level stuff that's probably free or it almost costs close to nothing. Bring those people in. So, say for example, CC Hub might be hard, but I don't say free. Calm down. Don't do free. Let me explain what that. Yes, let me explain. I get what you're saying actually. It's good actually. But like no, exactly. Okay, that's fine. Is that what you're doing? But if you're going to offer a free service in quotes, CC Hub might be very hard, but like those kind of funds, they consistently are giving out money to these brands, and it can come up as an add-on advantage. Like if you are getting funding from us, we also have a partnership with this branding agency to offer you maybe your first 2 hours consulting free, and if you like what they do, you get maybe a 3% or a 5% discount. I move on from there. Because distribution is the main thing at the end of the day. Distribution to the right people. That's what will make sense. Thank you.
Because of what you mentioned quickly, banks, they're very big. When I was at the agency, yes, sorry, it's just going to be very helpful to her. Banks generally have funds for SMEs, and they're always meeting the SMEs. So if you can meet the marketing directors or marketing managers of banks, you can get funds.
What I will also add is an experience from my person. One of the questions we asked, so he does invitation cards for weddings, birthdays, name it. And he had that same problem, like when people call him, right? When they call him, they ask, okay, how much is this? Can I get a better price? And the major problem was for him was how to remove the negotiation off the table. And the fact that, like I said earlier, was that because he was the face of the business, so if you want to call his phone number, when he's running Google Ads, for example, his number is there. So it's easy for people to call him and say, you know what, bro, Alpha, and Nigeria, reduce this cost for me. Do you understand? So what he did immediately after research was the fact that he removed that room for strenuous negotiations. So you need to find a way, either through technology. For example, you cannot get your customers going to Jumia, for example, and then you get them negotiating with the cost that Jumia is having there. Do you understand? It's not possible. When Alice was running the ads, because I had partnered with Alice from an Instagram ad that he did. The cost was fixed. When I called and said, can I price this? No, there was nothing like that. It was not on the table. And that answers to the fact that some of the points that they dropped, that value. When the people that are trying to do your service understand what it takes, they would not even really negotiate, And Nigerians know this, if I'm being very honest, They know this for a fact. And if they know, for example, I have friends that have introduced me to, let's say, what do you call it now, skincare routine. Over and over again. I feel like it's the big gig nowadays, And some of the things that they say is they even tell you, don't bother about the pricing of this person. Just sacrifice this amount to get this value. And that word of mouth really, really goes far, Exactly. Word of mouth, it really, really goes far. So if you can remove that negotiation, for example, you do brand, so I believe that you probably have a one-on-one sitting conversation with your clients. You need to remove that from the table somehow, either via technology or either via the fact that you are not the person that is having that conversation with them directly. You have a third party that would say, I need to take this message back to my superior or whatnot. And then from there, because I have a real estate person that does that a lot. When they negotiate price on real estate, for example, it's the main CEO, but he will tell you that I need to take this back to my CEO. And by the time you send an email or whatnot, you are still bent on the same price, and you see that the person ends up paying that fee.
I coach people, and sometimes I do low ticket courses. I get them in my funnel. I will upsell them. What I would advise that you do is don't leave any money on the table. It's okay if your target audience is international. It's okay. You can focus on them. You know where to spend your money. You know that if I put my money on this particular group of people, I'm sure that, I will make my money. But let me tell you, in this Nigeria, the way Indomie is doing normal pack, there's super pack, there's this, you have to create things that other people can, also like little things that we can afford. Don't leave any money on the table. It's okay. If that's what Nigerians want, give it to them. Sit down and look for something that you can create. From a cost of like 15,000 naira, I can upsell someone to my cost of 500,000 naira just because they had that experience with me. And they have seen what other people have been able to do through me and all those things like that. So it's very important that you don't leave any money on the table. If you're going to have to create something it's not too much, something that you can state the benefits, state the things that they will get after that particular session with you, or when you do this particular thing for their brand. And then you see how automatically they start falling over themselves for you because you have given them an avenue to experience you through a low ticket.
Thank you very much.